mentioned earlier that we would need to decide on a genre. I would like to offer the name of the genre at this point. The genre has the potential to disassemble all of the puzzles and supernatural phenomena with rational explanation and return this distorted world to its original state. The only genre where the world is restored at the end to its starting condition and all enigmatic phenomena are eliminated through rational means. What's that? Mystery, especially classic mystery. If you utilize the methods of this genre, phenomena that were hard to believe will become just that, phenomena that were hard to believe, without the need to bringing out supernatural elements. Talking cats and Asahina's killer beams could be explained as a result of some sort of trick. Our reality would remain unchanged. The cafe waitress came to take our cups, purposely ignoring Asahina the whole time. Once she left, Koizumi continued. A cat that can speak a human language obviously goes against the common sense of this world. Nevertheless, a talking cat exists here. Something that should not exist does exist. That is excruciatingly inconvenient for our world. He flicked a drop of condensation on his glass. To resolve this situation, we must devise a rational ending for the movie. A conclusion that addresses the presence of talking cats, time travelers, and alien mages, and can be accepted by everybody. More importantly, Suzumiya, in a logical manner. Does such a thing exist? It does. The conclusion can transform every illogical occurrence into something ordinary in a relatively simple manner. Name it. It was all just a dream. Silence fell upon all of us. Eventually, Koizumi spoke. That wasn't intended as a joke. I directed a scornful glance at the gentleman twisting a forelock of hair around his fingers. You think Haruhi will accept that? Lies and truth aside, she's pretty serious about winning that award. And you want to say it was all just a dream? I'm pretty sure she's not dumb enough to make such a stupid movie. How she feels is not irrelevant. This resolution was determined by her needs. Deeming that everything happened within the movie was a dream, lie, or mistake is the best way to settle the matter. For you, maybe. It might be better for me, too. But what about Haruhi? She may have already thought about a spectacular, or at least in her mind, last scene to use for an ending. Besides, I don't want to touch the subject of dreams again. The same goes for your boring, arbitrary expositions. I stopped by a general store on the way home. I bought the cheapest litter box and a can of cat food that was on sale. I also asked for a receipt, just in case. Shami-san was washing his face with his paws as he waited. I walked off. The cat followed. Okay? Do not say a single word at home. Behave like a cat. I don't understand what you mean when you say to behave like a cat, but I shall do as you request. Don't talk. Always respond with meow. Meow. Upon seeing me arrive home with a stray cat, my sister's and mother's eyes grew wide. I gave up and made an explanation that his owner's an acquaintance who we went on a trip, so I had to take care of him for a week, and received their ready consent. My sister was especially happy and began petting Shami-san all over. The cat demon responded by obediently repeating the sound, meow. Guess that's not very cat-like either. The night safely passed. I had to go to school again in the morning. I was worried about leaving Shami-san alone, so I brought him along. As I urged him to get into the duffel bag, Shami-san responded, very well then, I suppose, in an arrogant tone before entering. I let him out by the school gate. Only a few days remained before the cultural festival, and the atmosphere of chaos at our school had been steadily growing, as though it were linked with Haruhi's fervor. It made me wonder what the lack of energy up till yesterday had been about. It was early in the morning, and I could already hear noisemakers and singing. There was also people making signs and billboards. There was even a group of people wandering around in weird costumes that made you wonder what they were even planning on doing. As things stood, a slider or two could join in without feeling out of place. The only people without any motivation were the members of 1-5, probably. Maybe Haruhi had sucked all the motivation out of the class. I entered the classroom to find that Haruhi was already in her seat, scribbling furiously in a notebook. Did you finally feel like writing a script? I asked. As I reached my seat, Haruhi snorted as she raised her chin. No, this is a tagline for the movie. Show me. I picked up the notebook and glanced over the page. Loaded with precious, punctuously confidential, absolutely secret images of Mikuru Asahima. You'll absolutely regret missing this. The most talked about film of the year presented by the SOS Brigade. Crowds will come flocking. I'll refrain from mentioning how uselessly sensational it is, or how there are only 2 months left in the year, but all this really says is that Asahina will be involved. If someone could read this tagline and imagine what the movie will be like, I'll respect that person for all the wrong reasons. Well, I'll be the one filming everything, and I don't even know what this movie is about yet, so I can't really complain. Maybe Haruhi doesn't know either? Whatever the case, I'm impressed she was able to spell punctuality without looking at the dictionary. I'll print off a bunch of flyers and pass them out at the end of the day on the day of the festival. Yeah, they'll work great. Okabe won't complain about being dressed up as a bunny if it's a cultural festival, right? No, I think he'll complain. This is a strict prefectural high school. Stop doing things that'll give our teacher stomach pains. Besides, Asahina will be busy with her class's refreshment stand. Koizumi and Nagato probably have stuff to do with their own classes. The only people who don't have anything to do that day are you and me. Haruhi looked at me with suspicious eyes. So, you want to dress up in a bunny outfit? How did you come to that conclusion? You can handle it by yourself. I'll stand behind you holding up a billboard. By the way, did you know? There aren't that many days left until the cultural festival. The festival's this Saturday and Sunday. I know that. Really? You seem pretty relaxed, so I thought you might have gotten the date wrong. I'm not relaxed at all. At this very moment, I'm trying to come up with catch lines. There's something that needs to be done before you start thinking about advertising. When will the movie be finished? Soon. We just need to shoot a few missing scenes, edit everything together, dub in voices and music, add visual effects, and it'll be done. That's a surprise. From my perspective as a cameraman, I'd have to say that there is more scenes missing than not. Exactly what kind of movie does the director intend this to be? Plus, the work that has to be done after filming sounds like it'll take far more time than we've spent so far, though it could just be my misconception. It was during break between third and fourth period. Kyo! A ridiculously loud voice rang across the classroom, making everyone there jump. I reflexively looked to see Surya peeking through the door. I could barely see Asahina's soft hair next to her. Come here for a sec. I dashed over as if drawn in by Surya's smile. Haruhi was still following her practice of disappearing the second break began, so she wasn't in the classroom. She was probably wandering around school somewhere. How convenient. As I went out into the hallway, Surya tugged on my sleeve. Mikuru has something to tell you, she shouted in a voice you could probably have heard on the opposite side of the building if she gave Asahina a smack in the back. Come on, Mikuru, give that thing to Kyon. With trembling hands, Asahina handed me a fluttery sheet of paper. This is, a discount voucher. It's for our class's yakisoba cafe, added Surya to explain it further. I gratefully accepted it. It was basically like a coupon. According to the signed words printed on the paper, you would get a 30% discount if you bought this paper. Please invite your friends to come along. Asahina bowed her head as Surya laughed, with a mouth as wide as the comic book characters. That's all. See ya. As Surya merrily walked off, Asahina moved to follow, but immediately ran back to where I was. Surya chuckled at the sight and stopped and stood in a waiting stance. Asahina joined her fingers as she peeked up at me. Kyon? What is it? You really shouldn't trust what Koizumi says. I realize this makes Koizumi sound like a bad person, which isn't my goal, but still. You mean the stuff he says about Haruhi being God? I don't believe any of that. Have a different idea about that. Basically, it's different from Koizumi's interpretation. Asahina breathed deep before looking at me with upturned eyes. There's no doubt that Suzumiya has the power to alter the present. However, I don't believe she's changing the structure of the world. The world was like this to begin with. It wasn't created by Suzumiya. Well, a view that totally rejects Koizumi's. I believe that Nagato also has a different view. Asahina entwined her fingers before her uniform. It might be rude to say this. Surya was grinning as she watched us from a distance. The look on her face was like that of a mother swallow urging her chicks to leave the nest. I think she misunderstood what was going on. Asahina spoke her words in an unsophisticated tone. What Koizumi is saying is different than what we believe. It would be improper to tell you, not trust him. But Um, she waved her hands frantically. I'm sorry, I'm bad at explaining things, and there are restrictions on what I can say. She went through a cycle of hanging her head and looking back up at me. Koizumi has his own circumstances and theories. The same goes for us, and probably for Nagato as well. Asahina gazed at me with a face so determined she must have mustered all the willpower in her body. She's still cute when she looks all serious. As I shook from the emotion of being able to see her face up close, I answered confidently. I know, how could Haruhi possibly be God, right? If the money I throw in whenever I visit a temple goes to her, I might as well set up Asahina as the founder of a new religion. It would probably attract more believers, too. I'd give a double seal of approval. I find your view a lot easier to explain than Koizumi's. Asahina had a little smile on her face. If sweet peas could smile, it probably looked something like this. Thank you, but I don't hold anything against Koizumi. Please understand that. After delivering that odd statement with upturned eyes, she dashed off as though she were running away. With a wave of her small hand, she chased after Surya like a spot-billed duckling following its mother. It would probably be a good idea to get some work done. And with that thought, I headed to the club room to fiddle with the computer, wondering why such an admirable thought had popped into my mind, to find somebody already inside, wearing a pretty hat and black mantle while reading a book. Before I could say a word, Mikuru Asahina's tenet is believed to be as follows. Nagato began as she read through my mind. Haruhi Suzumiya is not the creator. She did not create this world. This world always existed in its current form. Supernatural entities such as ESP, temporal deviations, and conceptual alien organisms were not born as a result of Haruhi Suzumiya's wishes. They always existed. Haruhi Suzumiya's role is to discover such entities without being aware of their identity, and she has wielded that power for the past 3 years. However, her discoveries do not lead to self-recognition. She is able to detect abnormalities in the world, but she is by no means able to recognize them. That is because elements exist to prevent such recognition. Her lips, never smiling, spoke the words plainly. Nagato stared into my eyes and said the following before shutting her mouth. That would be us. So, Asahina, for a reason different than Koizumi's, would also be inconvenienced by Haruhi finding mysterious phenomena? I asked. Yes. Nagato returned her eyes to the open book. She didn't seem very interested in our conversation. She has come to this space-time to protect the future space-time she belongs to. I have a feeling she just said something really important in passing. Haruhi Suzumiya is considered a variable to Mikuru Asahina's space-time, and in order to maintain the stability for the future, it is necessary to input the correct values. Mikuru Asahina's role is to regulate those values. Nagato flipped the page without making a sound. She continued without even a blink of those hard black eyes. Itsuki Koizumi and Mikuru Asahina have differing roles in the mind for Haruhi Suzumiya. They can never act the opposite of Shiza's interpretation. As far as they are concerned, a divergent theory would shake the very foundations of their existence. Wait, Koizumi said that his ESP showed up 3 years ago. Nagato immediately responded to my query. There is no guarantee Itsuki Koizumi is telling the truth. I recalled that handsome smiling face in my head. No guarantee indeed. Koizumi's theory just happens to conveniently explain everything that's happened to me. Who can say he's right? The fact of the matter is, Asahina told me not to believe him. But the same goes for Asahina's theory. No one can guarantee that Asahina's answer is correct. I looked at Nagato. Everything Koizumi has said may have been a downright lie. Asahina may not have realized that her view was a lie, but this composed alien didn't look like she'd be able to lie. What do you think about all of this? Which one's correct? What was that potential for auto-evolution thing you were talking about anyway? The black-garbed bookworm was completely devoid of emotion. Any truth I may tell you will be unable to grant you solid proof. What's that? However, that was when I saw a truly rare sight. Nagato had a hesitant expression on her face. As I stood astonished, she responded, There is no guarantee that I am telling the truth. And with that, she set down her book and left the club room, leaving the following words. Not for you, at least. The bell began to ring. I don't get it. Normally you wouldn't, right? Koizumi and Nagato don't talk in a way that can be easily understood by other people. It makes me wonder if they're doing it on purpose. They should at least put in a little effort to summarize what they're trying to say, what they're saying to something simpler, or they'll be speaking to deaf ears. Nobody will bother to listen. I walked along with my arms crossed as a group of people stared in stateless medieval outfits ran past me and turned the corner. Nagato, in her black outfit, could probably join in without looking out of place. Maybe some class or club doesn't want to yield Haruhi and is filming their own fantasy movie. Lucky for them. They're probably having a fun time filming their movie without having to deal with any of the problems plaguing me. And they probably have a director who actually has common sense when it comes to issuing commands. I sighed and left the 1-5 classroom. Haruhi was the only one who believed filming was going well, as the expressions of gloom on the faces of Asahina, Koizumi, and myself gradually escalated. A number of things appeared to be happening as the filming progressed. The next thing we knew, the model gun fired water bullets instead of BBs. Asahina shot dangerous crap out of her eyes every time Haruhi brought a different color contact. The gold one shot out rifle darts, and the green one shot out micro black holes, which would lead to her being bitten by Nagato. The cherry blossoms had fallen to the ground the next day. The white doves at the shrine turned to passenger pigeons, which were supposed to be extinct a few days later. Koizumi told me this in secret, and the Earth's procession was a little off, according to Nagato. Everyday life was falling apart around us. I dragged my exhausted body home to be met by the whiskered animal opening his mouth. So I simply need to keep my mouth shut around that hyper girl. The calico was sprawled on my bed in a posture resembling a sphinx. So you do understand. I gently grabbed Shamisen-san's long tail. The cat slid out of my grasp with a wish. You all were behaving in a manner that suggested as much. I also had a premonition that allowing her to hear me speak would be inconvenient. That's what Koizumi says. A cat talked, meaning you wouldn't need a reason to understand, to explain why it wouldn't be strange for a cat to talk. The simple way to put it is that you wouldn't apparently need to reconstruct the world in a way so that talking cats wouldn't be considered strange. What would that world be like? What would that cast be like? Shamisen yawned and began grooming his tail. There are many different kinds of cat. Isn't it the same with humans? It'd be nice if you went into detail on what your many kinds exactly entailed. What would be the point of knowing that? I doubt you could ever fully become a cat, much less understand the mentality of one. I'm fed up with every last one of them. I was planning on taking a bath when my sister came to my room to inform me I had a visitor. I wondered who it might be as I went down the stairs. The one who had finally come all the way to my house was Koizumi. I went outside in the night to deal with him. It'd be a bad idea to let him into my room with his endless talking. And I sure as well didn't want to be faced with the prospect of being doubled up by him and Shamisen in some incomprehensible discussion of the abstract. As expected, Koizumi began babbling by himself about some kind of theory. He even said the following. Suzumiya has no interest in detailed background explanations or subplot. She simply goes with whatever feels more fun, and that's enough reason for her. There is no rational resolution, careful composition, or fancy foreshadowing. You could say that she has created a rather transient story. She hasn't given the thought to a resolution. It is possible that the movie may end unfinished. And that would be a problem, huh? Based on what you said, if this movie ends half-heartedly, the messed up reality will become our new reality. We have to force Haruhi to accept a conclusion in her mind, that the conclusion must run to reality. We're the only ones who have to come up with such a conclusion. Haruhi doesn't think, and even if she were to, the result would always be chaos. If that's the case, we might as well do the thinking thing for her. Still, why do I have to rack my brains for such a reason? Anybody out there who can shoulder this curse for me? If such a person were to exist, Koizumi shrugged. That person would have appeared before us long ago. Therefore, we must do something about the situation. I am especially looking forward to your efforts. Effort towards what? Start explaining that to me. We have a problem with the world becoming fiction from a logical standpoint. Asahina may also have a problem with it. Her people follow their own logic. I'm not sure about Nagato, but observers merely need to take in results. They will simply accept whichever theory wins out in the end. They have no problem with the earth being blown to pieces as long as Suzumiya remains. The outdoor lamp illuminated Koizumi's businesslike expression. The truth is that our agency and Asahina's factions are not the only ones with theories centered on Suzumiya. There are many others. I'd love to give you a digest of the disputes and bloody battles to the death going on under the surface. Alliances and betrayals, sabotage and deceit, destruction and slaughter. A battle royale where each group must fight with all their strength to survive. Koizumi had a tired, cynical look on his face. I do not believe that our theory is absolutely correct. However, I must accept it or I will be unable to continue in my current situation. I just happen to initially be placed on that side. I do not have the option of changing sides. A white pawn cannot switch to the black side. Use Othello or Shogi. It has nothing to do with you, nor Suzumiya for that matter. It is better that way. I especially hope that Suzumiya never learns about it. I do not wish to cause her grief. By my standards, Suzumiya has a lovely character, and so do you as well. Why are you telling me this? Merely a slip of the tongue. There is no reason. Besides, I may merely be joking. Perhaps I'm possessed by some bizarre delusion. Or I'm simply trying to earn your sympathy. Whatever the case, it isn't amusing enough to discuss. Yeah, definitely not amusing. I might as well tell you something else that isn't amusing. I came up with a theory regarding why Asahina was sent to accompany us. As you know, Asahina appears to be a helpless, beautiful girl. I can understand why one would reflexively want to offer her help. You would probably accept everything she does in a positive way. What's wrong with that? It is the spiritual duty of normal people to help the weak and break the strong. Her role is to entice you. That's why Asahina's appearance and her personality are the way they are. A timid, adorable girl who just happens to fit your taste. You are the only person Suzumiya bothers listening to. Having a hold on you would be the optimal course of action. I fell as silent as a deep-sea fish. I recalled what Asahina said to me over half a year ago. Not the present Asahina, but the adult one who came farther from the future. After summoning me with a letter, she said, "Don't get too close to me." Was she saying that because of her circumstances, or was she expressing her personal feelings? Koizumi took advantage of my silence to continue in a voice that sounded like an old Jomon Sugi was speaking. What if Asahina is merely playing the role of a clumsy girl, and her true personality is something different? She judged that doing that would earn your sympathy. Same goes for her position as a poor little girl, childish in appearance, who has to suffer Suzumiya's unreasonable demands. It is all done to attract your attention. This guy seriously lost his sanity. I attempted to imitate Nagato's flat voice. I'm sick of listening to your jokes. Koizumi smiled a minuscule smile and spread his arms in an exaggerated fashion. Ah, forgive me. It would appear that I lacked the ability to carry through a joke. I was lying. It was just a crazy setting I made up. I just felt like saying something serious. Did you think I really meant it? If that's the case, my acting skills aren't too shabby. I'm starting to feel confident about stepping onto a stage. He continued after a grating chuckle. My class will be performing Shakespeare. Hamlet, to be specific. I will be playing the role of Guildenstern. I've never heard that name before. He's probably just a minor character, right? Originally, that would be the case. However, as we progressed, we decided to switch to the Stoppard version, which means I will have a much bigger role. Good job. I didn't know there was another version of Hamlet besides Shakespeare's. Between Suzumiya's movie and this play, my schedule has been quite tight. It's a lot of pressure. If I appear to be mentally tired, that's the reason why. I'm pretty confident that I would collapse if a closed space were to appear, That is another reason why I cannot request your aid. To please stop the abnormal phenomena being caused by Suzumi's motive. This rational conclusion thing? You mentioned the whole it was just a dream thing. I have to make Haruhi realize that everything in her movie is made up, right? It must be a clear understanding. Quite intelligent. She's quite intelligent. She is also well aware of the fact that her movie is fiction. However, she wishes the world would become that way. I need her to clearly understand that it won't before filming is over, probably. He's already had a lot to deal with, so I have to handle the rest? If that's the case, he's come to the wrong person. We're not talking about the Joker and Old Maid here. You can't just push it around. And Haruhi isn't a 53rd card here. Now the trump card, not the trump card of the ace in the hole either. And she's definitely not the maid. But still, I muttered. I can't just ignore all this. Nagato aside, Asahina and Koizumi look like they're almost out of hit points. The same may be true for the entire world in that matter. But I wouldn't know. There's a problem, I suppose. What a pain. Damn, I'm pretty pooped myself. I tried to come up with a plan how to deal with Haruhi's delusions. A way to clearly make her understand that movie and reality are separate. What would be the method to make her accept such an obvious thing? It was all just a dream. Or was there something else? Only a little time of day remained before the cultural festival. The next day, I made a suggestion to Haruhi. After some wrangling, she finally agreed to it. Okay, Haruhi yelled loudly as she sounded the megaphone. Good work. We're done filming now. Everybody worked hard, especially myself. Yep, I'm awesome. Good job. Upon hearing those words, waitress Asahina flopped down upon the ground. She looked relieved from the bottom of her heart. So relieved that she looked like she might cry. In fact, tears were flowing from her eyes. Haruhi apparently took those tears to mean that she had been overcome by emotion. Mikuru, it's too early to be crying. Save those tears for when you're awarded the Palme d'Honneur of the Oscar. We'll be happy together. It was lunch break and we were gathered around the roof of the school building. Tomorrow would be the cultural festival. We had been so short on time we didn't even have time to calmly eat lunch. The final battle between Mikuru and Yuki ended with the sudden awakening of some unknown power within Itsuki Koizumi and the usage of that convention power to send Yuki Nagato flying to the deepest reaches of space. This is perfect. We've made an incredible movie. If we take this to Hollywood, we'll have an avalanche of buyers. We should start by signing a contract with a skilled agent. Haruhi was cheerfully intent on going global. I had no idea what was going to watch this film, but the only selling point would be with the rest of the staff. Nobody would want anything to do with Asahina's agent and promote her. I could probably make a little money that way. And while we were at it, maybe Haruhi could try to become some Guarv model or something. I was willing to send in photographs and background without telling her. So it's finally over, huh? Koizumi smiled at me with a sunny face. It's pretty aggravating, but he looked best when he had that free of charge smile on his face. I didn't want to see a melancholic Koizumi. It'd probably give me the creeps. But now that we're finished, it feels like it was all over in an instant. They say that time flies when you're having fun, but I wonder who's having fun in that case. Beats me. Can I ask you to handle the rest? I really can't think about anything besides our class play at the moment, since you aren't allowed to retake lines the way you do in movies. Koizumi still had on his usual grin. He placed his hand on my shoulder and whispered in a soft voice, "One more thing," as an expression of attitude from both my organizations and myself. And with that he left the roof. Nagito silently walked after him with her usual blank expression.